Nico. First of all, Nico, hearty congratulations on signing with Andretti.
Thank you.
It's you can say it's a long time coming, considering how how much of a form driver you have been this year. A really impressive season, you
Thank
know.
you. Thank you.
So I'll just start with my first question. We'll jump right into it first, for the first one.
Sure.
So there were quite a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, a secret Porsche test and whatnot. So how did this move to Andretti materialize eventually? And what do you think this is in the context of your career so far?
Well, I think the basis for all the discussions actually starting was performing on track. So that's what I focused on, and we've not had the easiest of campaigns without Cupra with the package we have, but I still think we managed to really extract the maximum that was in there, and that was the basis for discussions opening up with several teams, and one of the first ones also being Andretti, because obviously when you're in this championship, the big goal is to race for one of the top teams. They've won the championship last year with Jake, so they've proven to really adapt extremely well to the Gen 3 era. They've been a race winning team before that and been part of Formula E for so long. So it was obviously one of the teams very high up on my wish list, if you can call it that. And discussions have started off pretty early, and the the way the deal was then structured and materialized, that idea with Porsche, and to kind of come to the table with the three parties and not only two of us, that came up later. So I don't really know the exact timing, because that was more of a matter to be handled between Porsche and Andretti. Obviously, Porsche has strong links to the manufacturer since the start of Gen 3, and I think the common goal now is to take that one step further again. It's a familiar thing, a familiar structure. They've had it going in a similar way with Andre when he was there in season 9. So I think it's kind of a known basis, but I hope that all of us we can profit from this collaboration. I'm very happy that we managed to put it together that way.
Yep. And on that same note, really happy for you once again. And I think you really got what's something that was high up on your wish list when it came to driving for a top team, let's say. So I just wanted to ask, you said something about really maximizing the package. So, and that's something you really did back in app this year. So you got 52 points, you finished 12th in the standings, which was quite frankly you were one of the most standout names in 2024. If you look at Formula E, people did notice how well you were doing this year. So how much of this 2023 to 24 season would you attribute down to your own personal improvements and down to the team getting their package optimized or being more operationally efficient all year round?
Well, I very much consider myself as a small part of the team, and I think as a team we managed to understand the package better and understand the way the racing has evolved better, and I see a good part of the responsibility for a team improving lying with the driver as well. So and that doesn't only mean out on track. Putting a good lap together is one thing for sure. That's our main job, and to race well, but also to get the team to the point where it has built enough understanding and knowledge of the tools it has to extract the maximum. I think the driver plays a big role in that as well. So yeah, altogether we just focused on our own job, didn't look too much left and right, and stick together as a team. And I'm a big believer that that this is a formula that can work in any team, in any championship. But I think in Formula E it can have an even bigger impact, because this racing is so complicated. There's so many tools you can use to your benefit, but you can also screw it up. So to be on top of your own game is really making a difference in Formula E, and that's why I love being a part of it.
Absolutely brilliant to hear, Nico. So one of your best results this year, it's actually that you finished 4th at Misano, and you missed out on the podium by the barest of margins, losing to Nick across the line. So I just wanted to ask, like, how gutting was that, and how did you manage to bounce back and keep your season going on a strong note?
It was gutting for about 2 hours, and I got a good view of an Andretti rear end being in Jake's gearbox for most of the race. So it had lots of positives. No, I mean, generally, I did even mention before the season that the one big surprise uh, of the season, I was wishing to be an Abt Cooper podium, and we didn't quite manage to do it. But to be honest, to be racing on our own merit, on our pure performance at the front end, not only once but twice, three, even four times, has been enough of a positive achievement to overcome this slight, disappointment of not scoring that podium. But yes, for sure, the couple hours after the race, I was disappointed because we were extremely close. It couldn't be any closer than that, and we didn't quite manage just because the last little bit of luck was missing. I think you can call it that way. But still very proud of that result and a few others. And I think that is definitely, what stays with me and not the disappointment.
Absolutely. I think we can all speak for ourselves when we say it was a really proud result, and it was so near yet so far. But I think you'll get that podium soon for Andretti, at least in the
Oh,
upcoming season. So with reference to Misano, actually, I just had a small question. So Misano is one of what many drivers and what the Formula E paddock used to refer to as a peloton race. So with that, it's obviously known to be very chaotic. Drivers are often racing in a pack for like so long, almost all race long. So what is your approach to such a like chaotic and action-packed race? And when you're, what is your mindset like when you're racing in a pack like that for so long?
I mean, the number one target, especially in the first phase of the race, is keeping your nose clean and that wing stuck to your car as it should, and avoid contact. That's the one bit. And then for the rest of the race, you cannot really say there's one strategy that can be applied for any kind of peloton race. They're all different, and you need to stay flexible. You need to keep an eye on what others around you are doing. You need your team to be really sharp on understanding the strategies of your competitors, to be able to adapt yours as quickly as possible and make sure you're in the best shape. So for me there is no common rule or recipe, let's say, to be successful in these races. You just need to stay adaptive, flexible, and extremely sharp with your driving, but also with the communication with your team and strategy decisions.
Yeah, it's always quite the challenge. Drivers have spoken out about these type of races and all that, especially, I mean, after Berlin, let's say, quite a lot of like there's quite a lot of outbursts from some drivers as well. So quick follow up, actually, I just wanted to ask, like when Formula E goes to a permanent road course, let's say Shanghai or Portland or let's say Misano this year, and they've also gone to we've also had these peloton races on a couple of street circuits like Berlin and even Sao Paulo. So how does your approach vary for a peloton race on a street track versus that of a permanent road course?
I think the avoiding contacts is even more of a challenge on a street track, because you cannot just put two wheels in the grass in some places, when you get into an emergency situation, because there's walls. So that is the one main difference, I would say. And also on street tracks, clearly, you have one clean line, and it's much more tricky to actually be running side by side for a longer time because of the ideal line is just too slippery. So these races are even more extreme in terms of going side by side on straight lines, but then having the field jam up as it goes around corners. So this accordion effect can be even worse on street tracks, and that's the part that is extremely unforgiving and also difficult to anticipate as a driver, depending on where you are in the field. So these ones are the most challenging ones, like Sao Paulo, Berlin. They are really difficult to manage as a driver.
Yeah, and I could imagine, what the drivers were going through all that Berlin race, and it was quite chaotic by all means. So I think while you missed that Berlin weekend, and it was because you were at Spa racing in WEC. So I just wanted to come with a question from that angle. Like, as a driver who races in Formula E as well as the World Endurance Championship. So what are the challenges that come with balancing both series and giving your best across the board?
Time management is the key word. I think as long as you're well organized, properly structured, it's definitely feasible. And when I say feasible, it's not just somehow making it work, but making it work to the level where you feel like you can perform at your best in both championships. And that's definitely, what my minimum requirement is. And it's doable, but it's exhausting for sure. And obviously, some factors you don't have in your own hands, like the clash that you already touched on with Berlin and
Yeah.
Spa, which was very unfortunate. But in terms of coming to the race weekend, and some people ask about the risk of mixing up your driving styles and having to readapt to the specific car characteristics. I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't know if it's because I've been doing same championships or different championships at the same time for quite some years. But I think it's also because the Formula E weekend formats, the characteristic of the car, everything is so different to, any other championship, and WEC included, that I feel like, I plug in a different hard drive and off you go. The adaptation time is ultra short, and I see much more of a benefit by combining both championships, because you still evolve, you still learn as a driver. Even though I'm 32 years old, I still feel like I get better every time I drive. So yeah, for me, there's only benefits.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. I'm sure it's like every day new learning for you as a driver. So, I just want a quick follow-up to this. You said, of course, you have done multiple championships before and you get the experience of like balancing series like that. But it's like, Formula E races as well as WEC races, they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So with Formula E races ending in 45 or 50 minutes, it's like a short burst compared to a WEC race, which goes on
Yeah.
for, say, 6 hours, 8 hours, or even 24 hours, like
Yeah.
Le Mans. So how do you vary your mindset for both types of races?
I mean, again, you kind of do that automatically because of the format of the weekend, because of the preparation that you do before coming to the races, and you kind of have your own path your own rituals, that you kind of go through without even calling them rituals. It's just a sort of lead up to the race that puts you into the right mindset. So I don't really have a conscious difference in approach to those weekends, to be honest. It's as I said, you plug in a different hard drive, you do your preparation on the simulators, you come to the racetrack, in WEC you have to the exchange with the other drivers. You have your specific tasks in practice. One guy does qualifying, the other guy does the start, etc. And because we've actually had such a strong bond, let's say, within the crew, it was very clear who had what tasks to fulfill, and it still is, and it works very well. So it's something that comes very natural for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to hear. And just wanted to ask you about your experience at Le Mans, like, in the 24-hour race. So I know this is a little bit away from Formula E for just a couple of, so just a question. So, Le Mans witnesses a lot of the famous transition from day to night and back to day. So how do you like mentally adjust yourself to the changing, the darkness, the light, and the sudden light that comes in and all that?
Yeah, even though I've done it a few times, not only at Le Mans, also other 24-hour races, it's still something special because you only get to do it, a few times a year, and it's very difficult to say, look, I'm 100% familiar with all the different circumstances and conditions out there on track. So you still need a little bit of adaptation time, and what is also very important in those 24-hour races is that you always build build up that momentum during the race, and you cannot afford to approach the limit from the top. You know, you have to be coming from the bottom, otherwise your race can be over very quickly. And Le Mans is one of the unforgiving tracks with its very high-speed sections and so on. So, you know, the boost of adrenaline that you get in the night, pushing through the Porsche corners and stuff, is absolutely amazing. And you know, one thing is making sure you find the right compromise between risk and reward. But the other thing I always tell myself when I do these races is try and enjoy it, because it's something super special. And when you're having fun at what you do, normally you do quite well. So that's the approach I take.
Yeah, I quite like that when you say it comes only once a year, so just try to enjoy it. Of course, that's the case for Le Mans as well.
Definitely.
So just getting back to Formula E actually. So during your 2 seasons at Cupra, you have worked with two drivers who were quite veterans of the series, you know, Robin as well as Lucas. So what are some of the greatest learnings you can derive from both of them during your time at the team?
I mean, I learned a lot from both of them. As you say, you know, they're both race winners. One is a former champion and a Formula E legend. For Robin, you know, I think he's probably one of the absolutely most talented drivers I've ever worked with in, you know, any sort of championship and car. And I have a very good personal relationship with him. So, you know, to pick out specific things that I learned from them is very difficult. But you know, Robin's very, let's say, open-minded and relaxed approach to being able to go out there in extremely difficult circumstances and purely trust his instincts and feelings. It's something that I tried to, you know, take on a little bit to some extent, even though, you know, I don't want to become Robin Trines 2.0, but there's always stuff you can find and try out for yourself, and that's definitely one thing. And Lucas is extremely analytical, very you know, sophisticated in his approach, and has a lot of smart ideas. He's very good at thinking outside of the box, and I think that's also one thing that, you know, to some extent I try to exploit more and could take on from working with him.
Most definitely, that's amazing to hear once again. So just coming on to the last few questions actually. So I remember reading that you're going to become Jake Dennis's fourth teammate at Andretti in 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, we had a number of drivers there. We had Oliver, and then you had, off the top of my head, I'm just trying to recollect who all. You had Oliver, you had Andre Lotterer, and then last year you had Norman. And now you're going to become his fourth teammate in 4 years. So does this in any way bring any sort of added pressure or expectations on you heading into the new team?
No, even I see that the opposite way. If I survive longer than these four, it's good, no? So no pressure at all. Okay. No, I mean, it clearly shows that Jake, you know, has put the bar very high up. Again, he's the season 9 world champion. He's been extremely competitive wherever he raced. You know, also not only in Gen 3 and Gen 2 in Formula E. I've raced him in DTM. He's been super strong in GTs. You know, he's tested Formula 1 and been impressive there. So I think he's one of the world's top drivers at the moment. And to be able to go out there, work together with him, and, you know, hopefully learn one or the other thing from him, and make sure that together we bring lots of points home for Andretti is a privilege. And I'm just going to go out there and do my best, enjoy, and, you know, hopefully, again, survive a bit longer than the 4 guys that have been in that car before me.
That's definitely for sure. I think Jake is quite the talented driver. He's also, I remember reading he's also on the Red Bull team as well. It's on Formula 1 team. It's quite the thing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, like, quick question. Have you been able to meet up with Jake after the announcement of you joining the team?
Yes. And I mean, we always, you know, on race weekends, obviously had a chat here and there. We get along well, and he's super chilled, open-minded. You know, I think we can have good fun this year, going out there, traveling the world together, racing together, but also especially working together, because you know, that's what we're here for in the end. But as long as you can keep it fun, you know, off the track, making it even more enjoyable. And I'm pretty sure we will be able to do that.
Oh yes, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to the camaraderie between you both.
I just hope we can avoid too many TikToks, because that's not my thing.
Yeah, don't worry. I think you both are going to make a formidable duo on track. That's for sure. We're going off what we saw in the if we're going off recent form in the sense.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, you're heading into a new season once again, season 11, and there's a new car as well, the Gen 3 Evo, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So with a new teammate and a new atmosphere, a new team, and also there's a new car. So how do you feel heading into this sort of, let's say, new beginning in a sense? And what are your expectations ahead of season 11?
I want to score my first victory in Formula E. That's, I think, pretty clear. I trust into the team. They're a top team. I'm very confident that Porsche will deliver a good package for us to be able to fight at the sharp end. And that's my goal. And, if we can consistently be up there and score points, I'm sure we're going to have a good season. So I'll just try to go out there and maximize. It's clear that there will be some sort of adaptation time needed, not only to the new car, because that everybody will have, but especially to a new team, a new surrounding. We have to be realistic. That will take a little bit of time, but I hope to keep that adaptation time as short as possible. And then we want to score results. That's very clear. I think the car itself, in some areas, there's definitely quite interesting upgrades and going to feel quite different to before, with the 4-wheel drive under attack mode and stuff. So that will be something everybody needs to get to grips with. But I'm confident that it's normally one of my strengths to not need huge adaptation times when it comes to different parameters on a car, and I think the team has proven so as well. So I hope that it all plays into our hands, and then we can have a nice year.
Right, and absolutely, I'm just looking forward to see how you get along in season 11.
Thank you very much.
Just had a quick question, like a quick out of the box question for Nico. So if you were to name one dream location for a Formula E track of your choice, which one would it be and why?
It's gonna be Bern. It's obviously my hometown, kind of, and they had already built a track there in season, what was that, 7?
Yeah, I remember Bern hosted a race once.
Season 6, probably. Season 5 or 6? 5 or 6, I'm not sure. But anyway, and that track was absolutely amazing. It would be a home race, in front of my friends and family, basically. And that one definitely, it would be a dream for that to have a comeback.
All right, lovely. Thank you so much, Nico. A pleasure speaking to you.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
Yeah, have a good day, Nico. Have a good ride as well.
Thank you very much.
Nico.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.